Welcome to Gory Story Time.
And this is not just any regular episode of GST. This right here is the Gory Story Time 100 episode spectacular, starring
Us.
Dumbass. First up, Jason and I, inspired by the Comedy Central roasts of celebrities, decided we would take this opportunity at 100 episodes to roast one another. So this right here is the We Wish We Were Celebrity roast of Craig and Jason. I'm here to roast my son Jason. He loves Facebook. The problem is, every time something he posts comes up in my timeline, it's either rude, vulgar, offensive, sexist, or semi-racist. So I'd like to say, Jason, please stop sharing my posts. For those of you who don't know, Jason and I are co-hosts of a horror movie review show called Gory Story Time here on Fact TV. We've been watching scary movies together since he was 5 years old. What you may not know is it affected him in ways that I didn't expect. For example, he fantasizes about being the middle of a human centipede. His favorite type of creatures are zombies. Let me see if I can figure out why, Jay. They're lethargic, smell funny, and only think about eating. Sounds familiar. When anyone asks him about the show, he says it's a good way to get his ideas out there for people to hear. Let's be honest, nobody wants to hear what you think, Jason. We've done almost 100 episodes and your mom has watched maybe 3, and she's been at the studio while we were filming. Speaking of people who won't watch, Jason has a girlfriend now who, by the way, is awesome. We love her at our house. But when given the choice to watch Gory Story Time or be eaten by a pack of rabid wolves, she'd be like, "Aw, the puppies are hungry." And I gotta thank Fact TV for letting us do this since Jason was 13 years old. Yeah, that might seem too young to most, but I asked R. Kelly and he said it's close enough. And let me say something about community television. Alex, who runs the place, will tell you it's a good way to express yourself so that people around town can, see what you think. But let's be honest, Alex, you reach more people standing on your front porch and yelling at passing cars. Anyone that knows Jason knows he loves Deadpool. Absolutely loves Deadpool. He has a Deadpool costume, Deadpool boxers, Deadpool Monopoly, Deadpool socks, Deadpool toys. By the way, did you know they even made a Deadpool fleshlight? I didn't until I was looking for something under his bed. It was next to the Deadpool Kleenex and Deadpool lotion. I'm not saying Jason spends most of the day masturbating, but his penis just posted an essay on Huffington Post revealing the violent, controlling nature of their relationship. #MeToo. I knew his love of horror movies was going to be a problem when I heard him in his room yelling at his junk, "Do you want to play a game?" He looks up to Ryan Reynolds and wants to be like him someday. Give it up, man. He's handsome, funny, talented, and bangs Blake Lively. You're fugly, corny, and before 11 a.m., you're barely a lively. My favorite part of being a parent is when people come up to me and say, "Your son is so considerate," or "Jason is so helpful." And one day, I'm sure that's going to happen. Jason loves a lot of music. He's really into soundtracks like Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool with songs from the 70s and 80s. He is slowly turning into a 45-year-old man in high school. He was born in 2001, and historians have actually now claimed that his birthday was the worst thing to happen on American soil that year. Jason has wanted to be in the military since he was 3 years old. He had his sights set on being a Marine. He was told that he had a condition that precludes him from service. That condition is being too lazy to do a sit-up. Jason's so lazy, he contracted his brother to cook in his Easy Bake Oven. Jason is so lazy that Congress has asked him to pick it up a little bit. Jason's also involved with great local groups like Friends for Change and ATI, which stands for Above the Influence. These groups are known for helping kids have a safe place to hang out without judgment or bullying. They also focus on teaching youth ways to have fun without drugs and alcohol. The problem is, every time he shows up, they all need a fucking drink. Jason's also a very political kid, and he loves Donald Trump. Not so much for his policies, he really just wants that hair. Jason's actually a great guy. I enjoy spending time with him. He's protective of his siblings. He's smart, no matter what his report card says. He's been through a lot of shit between his mother and I getting divorced, shitty step-parents, and more. Yet, he made it out a wonderful human being, and I'm very proud to be his father. I would even say a friend. You know, that one friend that comes to visit for a while and just won't fucking leave? That's him. I did say I think of him as a friend, and now that he's older, you might wonder, how can you say all these mean things and feel that way? Well, actually, it's really easy. My other friends are assholes too. He certainly has come a long way since his humble beginnings as my cum. Jason has recorded a rap album when he was in kindergarten that I wrote the lyrics for. We do 2 funny commercials for our show every week that I write. And here he is to roast me with some jokes that, well, you see where this is going. Jason?
Give it up for him, folks. Homeless Santa Claus, everyone. My dad is so funny looking. So if anybody wants to know why I am the way I am, blame this guy. My dad is a rapper, a writer, a second banana on a TV show. If you haven't heard of him, it's because he sucks at all of those things. He may do those things, but he makes his money stocking shelves at a grocery store. 40 years old with a teenager's job. Now that's gangster. And I know it would be easy and obvious to make jokes about his weight, but unlike my father, I like fruit, even if it's low-hanging. I don't want to say he's fat, but the reason we are so close has less to do with love and respect and more to do with gravitational pull. Anyone that hasn't blocked him yet on Facebook and Twitter knows he's right-wing. His views are so far out there, Donald Trump has asked him to be more thoughtful before he tweets. He always talks about the right foods to lose weight. Why the fuck would I take diet advice from the less attractive Ralphie May? He wants me to exercise more. Ironic, since the only running he does is with his mouth. He started losing his hair at 17. He says it's just widow's peaks. Bitch, please. That shit peaked the same year Jesus died for our sins. My dad is like an open book. The problem is half the pages aren't colored in yet. He used to do a parenting show with Don Tretler called Daddy Issues. We started watching scary movies together when I was 5. I'll take ironic shit for 1,000, Alex? He's been a juggalo since before I was born. Cusses like a sailor, votes Republican, and is a Christian. He's more confused than Caitlyn Jenner. Dad, people say I look like you. That's why I punch them. I'm proud of his charitable endeavors. He just started a group called Fat Lives Matter. He likes to argue with me, girlfriends, co-workers, and, well, anyone. He says he wins because he only argues when he's right. No, Dad, it's because we just want you to shut the fuck up. He knows a lot about therapy. The thing is, because of his tutelage, I will too. I'd like to say right now that he is a really great father. I'd also like to say I want $1 million. I guess neither is going to be happening, huh? He always claims I jerk off a lot. Ironic from the man with calluses on his hands so thick they look like they belong to Elephant Man. He's cheap too. It gets embarrassing when we go to the grocery store and he asks if they have any bottom ramen because top ramen is a little too steep. He's a fat, white male and politically conservative. Yeah, Dad, way to go avoiding stereotypes. I remember when he had the talk with me. It was probably a little more awkward for me than most kids. I mean, it was mostly him just quoting Two Live Crew lyrics. My dad tells everyone how his ex-girlfriend was nuts. I mean, she was, but who's crazier, the bipolar chick or the dude sleeping with her for 8 years? She was living proof that my dad has a type when it comes to ladies. Number one, she must have a pulse. And that is all. In conclusion, I'd like to say, Dad, I didn't look at this as a chance to make fun of you. To me, it's more of a going-away party for at least one of your feet.
Wasn't that roast hilarious, folks? What do you think, Jay?
I mean, I was pretty great.
Anyway, all right, before we get into the next segment, I guess we should give a shout out to one of our sponsors. And for this special, we're not just going to read it off a piece of paper, we're actually going to send it to a commercial. So, commercial number one, we'll be surprised by what it is too, right now.
Dad,
Yeah?
have you ever felt not so fresh?
With political correctness turning our boys into a bunch of pussies, we are proud to introduce Massengill for Guys, for when you get that not-so-fresh feeling. Side effects include nausea, back knee, bleeding from the rectum, and in rare cases, becoming one of the undead. Ask your physician if Massengill for Guys is right for you. Massengill for Guys, a subsidiary of Fact Up Industries.
My dad has written a children's book inspired by the film, The Human Centipede. So next, The Very Hungry Centipede. The Very Hungry Centipede, a Gory Story Time parody by Craig Jakes. If you would like to read along at home, turn the page at the sound of the chime. Page 1. By the light of the moon, two women driving on vacation broke down in the woods. Page 2. That night, they knocked on the door of a doctor to ask for help. Page 3. He gave them a drink, and pop, they passed out. Page 4. On Monday, they woke up in the doctor's basement with a Japanese man. Page 5. The doctor said they should be really close friends. Page 6. On Tuesday, they were close. 7. On Wednesday, the women, the man, and the doctor go outside to play. Page 8. After playing, they were all hungry, so the doctor gave them some food. The Japanese man got jelly on his face. Page 9. The Japanese man ate so much he got a tummy ache. Page 10. The women did not like their food. Page 11. The police came, and the close friends tried to leave. Page 12. The doctor was sad and asked them to stay. Page 13. The police told the doctor he should let them go. Page 14. And then they all died, except one woman who cried for 2 weeks. Then she died too.
All right, The Very Hungry Centipede. That was awesome. Next, I think we should probably pay some more bills, so let's send it to another commercial break. We'll be right back.
Salve, Ramanas Avraj.
Me?
Tuas male usas vestra extergimus in manu vestra blandike coruscant?
Awesome.
No! Tiende ut experi vos die ela spongia novus bagium? Spongia baculum accept in his local difficile perver ad elium perir non petit perum digitos?
Adominonk.
Gratia specialo spongia? No! No! Lignum spongia ex te que vomitorium paniculus.
So,
Coming up next is a game show inspired by the horror movie genre. So, pleased to present.
yeah, we're pleased to present a brand new show. It's just a little sneak preview of the new show, and it's called
Want to play a game?
Welcome to America's favorite new game show, Want to Play a Game? I'm your host, Billy, and today our contestant is...
Hello, I'm Jason Jakes from Bellows Falls, Vermont.
All right, it looks like you're excited to play the game, so, Jason, I'll ask you the one question. Want to play a game?
Sure.
I lied, there's more than one question. Now there's the actual questions. Anyway, that's where the studio audience should laugh. Guess it doesn't work if they're dead. Question 1. Nancy Thompson is the protagonist of which slasher movie?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right. Question number 2. What was used as blood in both Psycho and Night of the Living Dead?
Chocolate syrup. I know my stuff.
Number 3. What is the name of the shark in Jaws?
Bruce.
What was the original name of the horror parody movie Scary Movie? Do, 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 do. Okay, that was copyrighted and I shouldn't have done that. My apologies to the producers.
Yeah, I don't know. Drawn a blank.
That would be Scream, If You Know What I Did, last Friday the 13th. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Anyway. Number 5. Which famous pop song was originally based on the classic horror film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Maniac.
Next question. Which punk band, who was quoted by Stephen King in Pet Sematary, responded by recording a song titled Pet Sematary that was used in the movie adaptation of the book Pet Sematary?
The Ramones.
The Ramones. Is that your final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
Wrong show. You forgot to answer in the form of a... Still wrong show. Sean Cunningham was inspired to create Friday the 13th after seeing which scary movie?
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. Which horror movie had cameos from Robert Englund, Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, Ted Raimi, which is Sam's brother, Agnes Scrim, Vern Troyer, and makeup effects masters Tom Savini and Robert Kurtzman?
It's a lot of names. Seems like a big deal. Wishmaster.
Which actor or actress did not appear in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie? A. Johnny Depp. B. Lawrence Fishburne. C. Roseanne Barr. D. Corey Feldman. Or E. Alice Cooper?
Roseanne Barr.
Wrong. It was D. Corey Feldman. He was in one of the Friday the 13th movies. But why would someone who hosts a game show, you say, about, why would I know better than you? Because I'm smarter than you. That's why it's my game. This is the final question. Which female singing comedian played one of the bad guys in Last House on the Left? Yes, take your time. We have all the time in the world.
I know. It's not the one I'm thinking because I forget her name.
I'm pretty sure we can't accept that. So,
It's not Kate Micucci.
while that is technically correct, that is not the answer we are looking for. It is literally not every single person on the planet but one.
Yeah, I drawn a blank on her name.
That would be Ricky Lindholm. Stupid. But I believe you have gotten 7 out of 10 right, and we're still going to give you a prize. Not the big prize, but you still get a prize. We also have in the past, or I have, filmed people on the street, people I know, answering questions about their thoughts on horror movies. And we've got a couple of them that we're going to present to you today. And here's the first Gory Story Time Extra. How old do you think a child should be before they are able to watch an R-rated horror movie, in your opinion?
Well, the rating system goes with 17 to watch an R-rated movie. And I think it depends on your kid. Depends on your kid and, how you're bringing them up and things like that.
So we're just asking adults how old they think a kid should be before they're allowed to watch an R-rated horror movie. So I was asking your opinion.
I think it depends on the kid.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, so we're asking adults how old they think a child should be before they're allowed to watch a R-rated horror movie.
Obviously, it depends on the child. As a little girl would probably be more afraid of them. But as for like my son, who's 13 years old and absolutely loves zombies, that would generally be the age that I would think would be appropriate, provided that the parents are okay with it.
So, my basic opinion about this is that it depends on the child and it depends on the content of the movie. I think that ratings are arbitrary. There's different reasons for different things to be rated different ways, and I think that the most important part, the most important thing to consider when showing your child a movie is why are you what's the purpose of it? Are you studying it because it's a piece of cinematographic art, or are you being entertained? And it does depend on the age of the child too. So what's the rule about R-rated movies? It's under 7. You have to.
It's 17 or older usually.
Without a parent's
Right.
permission, right? So that may be a perfectly legitimate rule around that. But as far as saying absolutely because a movie is rated R means that it is not appropriate for anybody under 17 is not accurate. I mean, in even like looking at movies that were rated R in the 70s compared to what is rated PG now, there's a huge difference. I mean, some movies I think have a psychological element that kids can't understand and they may be disturbing to them. But at the same time, there may be blood and gore that is somehow comedic or maybe done in such a way that is not different from blood and gore that you see in PG movies. So I would never pass judgment on a parent before for their kids seeing rated R movies at all. I think my own experience with it has been that my children have seen rated R movies that I've seen before, and there have been times when I've seen a movie and considered showing it to them. And then realized once the movie started that it really wasn't appropriate for them because I had a different recollection of the movie, or the language content was too strong, or something like that. So that's really my opinion about it.
Hi, I'm Deb Whitkus here. I guess when I think about when is a good time or an okay time to have kids be exposed to R-rated horror flicks, well, I'd have to say because of the way that the brain is maturing, definitely no younger than I would say 15, 16, and that's primarily because I know if you're exposed to too many images of violence, it can seep into your subconscious brain. We don't quite, from a neurological perspective, have the degree of filters that's necessary to, clearly separate fantasy from reality. I'm not anti-horror flick. I know it's kind of fun to go there and face that fear, but I think what's more important is that kids early on in their play and in their early development, they have the experience of playing and facing your fears in plays, which is the safest place to face your fears, and it's a really important part of development. So that's my opinion.
All right, thank you.
Wasn't that great? Coming up next, another Gory Story Time extra that you've probably never seen.
Unless you've checked out our YouTube. All right, so we're asking people what the first scary movie they ever watched was, and how old were you when you saw it?
It was child's play. It scared the hell out of me, and it was definitely before I was 5 years old. And I remember it for a long time.
I bet you did. What was the first scary movie you saw? It doesn't have to necessarily be an R-rated one, but just something meant to frighten you.
Oh, it had to be like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, those old black and white movies with Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi.
Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah, it used to be the creature feature, and I remember begging the babysitter to let me stay up and watch the creature feature, and she was worried that it was going to scare me. So I remember that.
All right, well, thanks.
So, it was Halloween, and I was 13.
Scare you much?
It did, but I like to be scared, so I was good with it.
All right.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
All right.
And I was 10 or 11.
Hellraiser in 7.
You were 7 and you saw Hellraiser?
Yeah.
How did you react to that?
I thought it was awesome.
Oh, it didn't give you nightmares?
No.
Well, that's good.
The first scary movie that I ever saw was probably Stephen King's It. I was probably about 7 years old. At first I was like, oh, it doesn't seem too bad, but after getting a little bit into it, I was like, okay, this is pretty freaky. So at that young of an age, you kind of freak out at a movie kind of like that. But nowadays, when I watch it, it's like, wow, this is still a really good movie.
First of all, weren't those Gory Story Time extras great? Coming up next, a music video performed by my dad, who does good music.
And it's kind of a horror theme for this video. And it's called The Diary of a Madman.
Dear diary, I'm having a little problem. I can't make it by myself, and maybe you can help me solve them. I'm confused and I don't know what to do. I'm hoping you can help me, cause there's no one else to talk to. I wanna die, but it ain't for me. I try to talk to my mom, but she only ignores me. She says that I'm delirious, and I drink too much, therefore she doesn't take me serious. But little does she know I'm really losing it. I got a head, but ain't no screws in it. Lately I've been thinking deep. That's one of the reasons that at night I can't sleep. I thought that it would change when I was was older. But even now I keep peeping over my shoulder. Is life after death true? And what about the men selling cane wearing black suits? And what about cancer? There's too many questions and not enough answers. There ain't no use in trying. I realize now that we were all born dying. There's a black book in my hand, and it's the diary of a madman. Dear diary, my brother died a few years ago. His face hasn't faded from my mind though. It left my family heartbroken. There's days I find myself crying soon as my eyes open. I can't put that shit behind me. I know I'm here somewhere, but I can't find me. I used to hit the weed a lot. Couldn't deal with life without an ounce of pot. And there ain't much change in me. I'm so pissed off that it would be no thing to me to go up to his glass, put a pistol in his mouth and blow his fucking brains out. No doubt if you cross me I'ma take ya, cause I'm a fucking psycho by nature. When I die it'll be a bloody Sunday, cause I'll kill more people than Bundy. And I don't even fucking care, like a Vietnam vet with 1,000-yard stare. So welcome to the slaughterhouse, fella. Red rum, and I'ma be the grave digger. So if you want a cap, then call me captain. I'm trigger happy like you so look for the chrome that's in my right hand. Second entry from the diary of a madman. Dear diary, help me cause I'm frantic. Sometimes I think I'm going schizophrenic. The world is looking dark for instance. Maybe cause I'm still looking from a distance. But then again I wear a blindfold. I'm staring at the world with my motherfucking eyes closed. Even to myself I'm a stranger. I've been walking in the footsteps of danger. There's a long path ahead of me. I gotta get somewhere cause everybody here's scared of me. I had a job but they fired me. The first girl I loved left me, now I'm living in my diary.
And now, what we've been building up to this entire special. The first time ever aired, episode 100. And the thing is, we were talking, and what movie would be good enough for episode 100? What horror movie should we review? And we realized none of them. Instead, we decided to pull the inception of review shows. Please let the ladies and gentlemen watching, the people out there, the audience, both of them, know what we're about to do.
We, the best review show ever, are going to review the best review show ever.
Gory Story Time reviews Gory Story Time. Warning. Gory Story Time is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Story Time, episode 100. Look at that. We're old.
We've done 100 episodes, and we figured we'd do something a little special this time. Instead of actually reviewing a horror movie, which we've actually done once before, but it wasn't
we've
officially...
reviewed a horror movie once before?
No, I'm saying not reviewed a horror movie on the show. We had reviewed the Strange Events at Velas Bridge.
Well, and there was an episode where we just listed off our favorites of things.
But we counted that as an actual episode, I believe.
Right, but it wasn't a movie.
Right, okay, true. But for episode 100, we've got big plans. If you're seeing this, hopefully you watched it from the beginning, because we got a lot of stuff that, as we're filming this, we haven't filmed, but should be on before this when you see this.
Because this should be the last thing.
But anyway, the point being, we're going to actually review our show. So this is episode Inception. Now, normally we would ask to throw it to a trailer and give a basic idea of things. So instead of that, what's a basic... If you had to explain this show to someone who hadn't seen it, what would you say the basic idea of Gory Story Time is?
Well, me and my dad sit down, talk about horror movies. Usually, we mess around. Mm-hmm. We make asses of ourselves, that's for sure.
Yes.
And we have fun, but it's really just a horror movie review show of with two long-time horror movie fans.
I've been a horror fan since I was the age you started watching horror movies, which we'll get into. But like the regular show, we usually each give 10 facts or so about a movie. We're going to do that each about the show itself. But
first,
we
throw
go
to that trailer.
Then we go to our...
No trailer. That's Colin's fault.
Then we go to our... And I'm going to be honest for once, fake commercials. You know, usually I say
what?
Real.
Oh my goodness. You've been lying to me this whole time.
Why do you think we're not getting paid? Anyway, this week, Gory Story Time is brought to you by Inapproprios, the only cereal with no filter. You don't add boring milk to Inapproprios, you add beer. Inapproprios are not recommended by any doctor because they're made only out of sugar, fat, salt, and lots of MSG. Inapproprios are the adult version of that bland, crispy rice cereal that talks. Inapproprios talk too, but what they like to say is snap, crackle, and fuck you.
Jeez. This one's M-rated. And by the Talking Gory Story Time. The show after the show, where we sit around and talk about this show. And no, it's not a ripoff of The Talking Dead, where Chris Hardwick talks about The Walking Dead, because I am a fan of Chris Hardwick, but not his TV work or book or stand-up. I just like his dating advice. Anyway, Talking Gory Story Time, available wherever bad ideas go to die.
All right.
The dark web.
Wow. Anyway, so let's give a little behind the scenes, or as you like to say, the
meat and beef of the show.
About the show. Yes.
Okay, so I go first, right? Yep. The original plan for Gory Story Time was to make it a podcast. My dad's ex-girlfriend was the one that came here and talked to Fact TV, and they said, no, we hate you. And then we came anyways.
Come on.
Yes.
I got serious facts here. Don't try to make jokes. You suck at it. Why do you think I write the commercials? Anyway, Jason was 5 years old when he watched his first scary movie. It was actually the mini-series of It that was made for ABC.
Oh, that was ABC?
Mm-hmm.
That I forgot. My dad was stopped one day shopping by a woman who asked, "Are you famous?" He said, "No." She came back around and asked, "Didn't I see you on TV?" He said, "Yes." Then she explained, "Then you're famous," and gave him a high five. Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I've told you about that. I was buying
You've told me that some people have stopped you, but
she
I don't remember that one.
Then you're famous. So it's like, Okay. Anyway, Jason and I met Danny Trejo of Machete fame. Jason, who was 13 at the time, walked right up to him and said, "You're in From Dusk Till Dawn." Danny then looked at this 13-year-old and said, "Don't you mean Spy Kids?" And what did you say?
I said, well, that too.
Exactly. And because he still wanted to be a positive role model when he signed the 8x10, what did it say on it?
It said stay in school, and then he told you that his 4-year-old was on set.
5-year-old.
5-year-old was on set.
Yes.
So,
Number 5.
My dad has recorded 5 CDs worth of rap music. He has made 2 music videos right here for Fact TV, and is making a 3rd.
That's true. Jason actually recorded his own CD at age 5. He gave copies to his kindergarten class and family that Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And
My
autographed
dad.
them, if you remember, on the inside. I had you write JT and all of them.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Nope, wrong one. Okay, yes. My dad writes short horror stories and is trying to finish enough for a book. A book of them to be published. He won't say how, but they're all connected, and
are they or are they not actually really good?
They are.
There's one I'm in the middle of writing, and you're upset that I haven't finished it yet because you're like, I want to know what happens
why
next.
are we here doing an episode?
Anyway, when we started Gory Story Time, Fact TV was run by Jake Stradling. For those of you who recognize that last name, it's because his twin brother took his place when Jake left to become a Christian pastor. But Alex, who works here, was his twin brother. Just for people that are new in town and didn't realize that,
It's not the same guy.
Yeah.
One time, Fact TV was streaming a town meeting, and when it was done, Gory Story Time was playing. The station received complaints because I said tit in our fake commercials that episode.
That happened?
Yes. I was actually talking about eating tits.
Yes.
Because they were a snack.
Correct. It was one of the parody commercials, but instead of pay attention to context, people just heard a child say that word and got upset and called. Speaking of our commercials, while some things have changed from the first episodes, if you go back and watch, one thing that's been consistent is I have written 2 fake commercials for every single episode since episode 1. That would be 200 commercials by this episode. Think about it, 2 per. I know the one where we did the list didn't have them, but I did 2 commercials for the Velas Bridge one, which wasn't counted as one of the numbers, so it still equals 200.
Oh, okay.
I did the math.
Actually, there's going to be more than that by the time this is out, because you're going to have to write commercials for
But those
the
aren't
specials.
Official. What?
With me and my mom.
Oh, I wouldn't call that special. I'd call it special. Anyway.
Right. Don't call the station complaining. It's our fault. Though the show
We're
isn't
trying to
political,
offend as many people as possible with this 100th episode special.
Absolutely. Though this show isn't political, my father and I often bring up politics on the show during our conversations, or more often in the fake commercials.
That happens a lot.
It does.
I'm also looking to write a series of parody books where I tell the story of a horror movie in the style of a famous children's book. I've finished writing Baby's first book of horror ABCs, Goodnight Springwood, which is Goodnight Moon redone with the story of Freddy Krueger, and the one that I'm planning on, you haven't already seen on this special, The Very Hungry Centipede, which was inspired by a fake commercial we did earlier on. It was kids' books. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the horror ABCs.
No, I'm saying earlier on in an earlier episode, one of the fake commercials was a series of kids' books based on horror movies.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
And I'm actually following through and making that a real thing, which will make that one commercial real.
I got that doll right there as a thank you for saving my stepsisters from drowning at the pool at the rec center here in Bells Falls. My Billy from Saul. Where did I just go? From is the Saw doll. It says from Saw doll.
Anyway,
Was
my
something I
God.
paid half for, and my dad paid the other half.
I saw it at a tag sale and called your mom and said, "Hey, Jason might want this," and you said that you had 20, it cost 40, and I said I'll put in the other 20. So anyway, I had 2 other shows that have been here on Fact TV. One I did with Don Tretler about parenting as a dad called Daddy Issues. It went 100 episodes before it ended. And a short-lived one that I filmed 3 uncensored episodes for, but only 2 finished airing because I never edited the last one or whatever, but it was called Fact Up Late News.
I've met Nathan Basil.
Something like that.
The actor who starred in Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, a movie we reviewed before on the show. He was trying to raise enough money for a sequel.
True.
I don't know if he actually hit that mark, Jay.
Well, I haven't heard any news of a sequel, which I hope it ends up happening because I love that movie.
It was so awesome. He was awesome.
It was a good twist.
He gave me a free autograph.
Yes, and for those who don't remember, us reviewing the show, it was a reviewing.
It was a documentary, basically.
Yeah, it was a mockumentary where he hired a documentary crew to follow him around as he tried to make himself the next Jason, Michael Myers, or Freddy Krueger kind of character.
And he broke it all down, and it was awesome.
When Fact TV made episode 1 of Strange Events at the Velas Bridge, we did a mini episode that listed joke facts and a real review.
Yeah. In our first year, we did a special where we made our version of Mystery Science Theater 3000, where we watched the original Night of the Living Dead.
Available to watch on my YouTube page.
Yes.
Just Juggalo Jake's, all one word. Look for that on YouTube, and there's episodes of the show, fake commercials we've done, all sorts of stuff. But
I think there's like 6 episodes of
the
the
full
show.
Night of the Living Dead, there's some daddy issues on there.
Mm.
But anyway, every year at the beginning of April, we review a horror comedy movie for April Fool's Day, but have not reviewed the movie April Fool's Day.
We haven't?
No.
I don't remember if I liked that one, actually.
It's ironic, though, because we've done, like, Scary Movie, and didn't we do Tucker and Dale one year? I think we did.
I know we've reviewed it. I don't remember if
that would
was...
make sense as to where we would have done it. But anyway.
My favorite horror movie slasher is Jason Voorhees. My favorite horror creatures are zombies, and my favorite type of horror movie are the ones that are realistic. My favorite horror movie of all time would have to be The Shining.
Why?
Because that was the first movie of any genre that made it so I wasn't able to go to sleep that night.
Well, that would be the genre that would be most likely
some
to do
movies
it.
are like, oh, I feel bad for the characters, like a drama maybe. This, I could not sleep.
Okay.
Because it was just too much.
And?
My least favorite horror movie of all time.
Did we review it on the show?
Yes.
And we have the same one, so I'll just jump in with this.
So I think you should do the first half of yours first.
Okay, and then we'll do that one together.
Right.
That's fine. My favorite horror movie slasher is Freddy Krueger. I've always liked him. I mean, I like Jason, I like Chucky, I like Michael Myers, but my favorite is Freddy. My favorite horror creatures have always been werewolves. I've loved them. I've never thought that they looked very realistic on screen.
But with CG the way they're doing it now, they could.
It looks cartoony and still doesn't look very good to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes?
Again, those aren't werewolves. And
right.
I'm saying werewolves. I'm saying werewolves. Anyway. My favorite type of horror movies are anthologies where there's, 4 or 5 stories. Each one's its own thing, but then there's a story wrapping around that connects them together, which is kind of what I'm doing with my short stories, but I he's mad because I won't tell him how they connect. Let's see. And my favorite horror movie of all time, Nightmare on Elm Street, because it's my favorite character, it's my favorite series, and you can't have all of those without the original OG 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh man, you don't mean the remake in 2009?
Definitely not. And like him, my least favorite horror movie of all time is Maniac.
Oh
We've
my
reviewed
God.
it on the show. It is awful. My sister suggested it. We did like a 4-episode arc where we reviewed 4 80s slasher movies, and that movie
was just bad.
Let me put it this way. The gore was unrealistic. The plot didn't exist. The character was uninteresting. Like, there was nothing about it that seemed redeeming to me. It was just awful.
And the sad part is,
I would have rather, had at myself with a cheese grater than have to sit through that movie again. I would find more pleasure in that.
Yeah.
It is free on YouTube if you want to watch it.
You having yourself with a cheese grater?
Yeah, that.
No. No thanks.
No, not that part. So I would say that's awful.
Very bad movie. And no, I'm not sorry to my aunt if you're watching, because it was awful. I think she said it was her favorite.
I know.
Of those.
She has a different opinion, and she has that right. You have the right to be wrong about Logan. She has the right to be wrong about Maniac. Anyway.
Ooh, and you have the right to be wrong about Rosemary's Baby.
I know.
So we can all be wrong, apparently.
I know. You're the one person on the planet that doesn't think it's a horror movie.
I know at least 3 other people who also don't think it's a horror movie.
Then they are also wrong. Now, back to the show.
Right.
Like any regular episode, we
give our Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Well,
and the critics have it at 69%.
Really?
Yeah.
And the people have it at 69%.
No.
Because I'm what?
420.
No, it's not.
420%.
Can't go over 100 because I thought you were going for 666, and I was just messing with you. Because horror movies.
Oh no.
But no. Obviously, there is no Rotten Tomatoes score for.
Because they don't know we exist.
Nope. And if they did, they wouldn't bother reviewing.
Right.
Because who reviews a review show?
I don't know.
Anyway, let that sink in. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this show for what it is? Obviously,
I mean, I've seen other review shows, and they suck. So.
And we're not talking about Best Pictures. There's no beef between me and Don Tretler. So if anybody's watching and thinks that that's what
I've never watched theirs. It was.
I saw them order pizza once.
That was the one I saw, and I liked that. So
yeah,
that's.
But I don't want.
Not talking about on this channel.
I literally don't
I mean
want
on
anyone,
the internet.
Or even.
Or other okay. Like,
I don't want anyone to think that that's me taking a shot because me and Don don't do daddy issues anymore.
No.
That's not the case.
It's reviewers on the internet and all those other big name ones that aren't low budget and do stuff with Fact TV suck. They do.
Some of them are okay.
They have no.
Rotten Tomatoes had their own review show that was really funny.
They have no personality.
Well, the Rotten Tomatoes one was really good while it was out.
So I'd have to say, solely because we are ourselves and don't care, I'm gonna have to give it like an 8.
Okay. For the fact that I've gone back and watched episodes and chuckled at things that happened and whatnot, like I even like what we did with our, Mystery Science Theater thing where we were like mocking Night of the Living Dead. All encompassingly, because that was under the Gory Story Time banner, I would say I'd probably give it a 7.5. Not quite as high, but
yeah, the acting could be better.
Yeah. You can't quite get into that headspace to play Jason. Anyway, so let's start wrapping this up. What do you normally say here? Come on.
I usually say watch our show at those times on the screen right
Thursday at 8:30
there.
and Friday at 7 p.m. You can email us at our gorystorytime@yahoo.com email address. If you have suggestions of movies you want us to review, questions, comments, if you saw this and said, oh my God, the commercial said fuck, or oh my God, they had a roast and how dare a father and son talk to each other that way.
Or how dare you make a joke about special people because that's
I didn't
offensive.
make fun of special people.
No, you made fun of Twilight because they're
That's
special.
right. I made fun of Twilight. Anyway, so if you have any complaints about that, eat me. If you have any compliments, any questions, then go ahead and email, because you can email anything where you're saying bad stuff, but
we will mock you.
I'm
viciously.
certainly not going to put on a list of things I care about.
Right.
I would list a million things before your thoughts on my sense of humor would even come into it. So, I mean, if you want to waste your time and want to be made fun of on the show, go ahead. Otherwise, just don't watch.
Yeah. What
Anyway,
he said.
You can also follow us on Twitter.
Yeah. But usually we say other things that are much simpler, like follow us on Facebook, like our page. We usually do memes. You gotta get back. He does memes and should get back on that game.
Yes. Just made a post for your girlfriend's birthday, but they're not horror related. So.
Right. Like Fact TV's Facebook, which I don't know if you have or not, so just do that.
Yep.
And then our Twitters, I'm at Jason T. Jakes, capital J, capital T, capital J.
And I'm at Craig Jakes. It's all lowercase, all one word.
And we don't post about a tweet about the show, but we will find a way to offend you. Also, email us if we don't offend you. I will find.
We'll go out of our way to find a way to be offensive.
Yes.
Which is, again, why we say don't bother with the hate emails. I mean, if you want to waste your time and want to give us a good chuckle, then go ahead. But anyway,
Right.
I know I've repeated myself, but I still mean it.
Right.
So I guess that's Gory Story Time for this week.
So until next time, I'm your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and his father, Craig.
And sweet dreams.